Let's go over Annie's training so that way we can stay consistent at home. Whenever she is doing behaviors that we want to keep seeing, such as following our commands or just calm behaviors, we can reinforce those behaviors with praise, petting, and treats. And then when she's doing things that we don't want to see, whether that's nipping, jumping up on us, or not following our commands, we're going to follow through with the training equipment so we can decrease those behaviors. So let's go over Annie's training equipment. Whenever she is on a leash, she is going to be wearing her prong collar. The leash is going to attach to the D-ring that swivels. How we take this on and off, we're just going to secure one of the links and push the other one through like so. To put it back together, we're going to pinch this prong and put it through the holes of the other prong. And then how we use this, say she is in the heel position. Heel just means walk next to me on that nice loose leash. Say she starts to pull ahead or she's doing something that we didn't want to see in the heel. We're going to say no, marking that incorrect behavior we don't want to see, pop of the leash, and then we remind her heel. And then when she gets back to us, we can give her that praise, petting, and treats. And this is how it's going to work with every command. So she does anything we don't want to see, no, pop, and then whatever command we asked her to do. Or if she's jumping up on us, we're going to say no and then pop away from us. So that way it decreases that behavior. She doesn't want to do it as much. And then we're going to reinforce the behavior we want to keep seeing. So she chooses those behaviors over those unwanted behaviors. Now we have her remote collar. How we turn this on and off. Red dot on the remote, red dot on the collar. Touch these together. That green light means the collar is on, charged, and ready to go. It's a magnetic key, so that way she can't accidentally turn off the collar while she's wearing it. You have to physically touch those two together. On and off button on the back of the remote. Push and hold until the screen lights up. You're going to see level 10 appear on the screen. This is Annie's working level, and then we're going to focus on the black S button. S just stands for stimulation, so it's kind of like an electric muscle stimulator. So, say she's in the heel position and she's starting to pull ahead or she's going where we don't want her. We're going to say no again to mark the incorrect behavior. Black S button, heel, no, button, heel. And then we can reinforce and reward the behavior whenever she gets back into the position we want her. With these, it depends on the level of distraction that Annie has. We may use one of these, we may use both of these, depends on the situation that we have. With the remote collar, we're going to put this on first thing in the morning, and then it's going to be the last thing that we take off at night. So that way we always have a form of communication with Annie throughout the day. With the prong collar, she's going to wear it when she's on a leash. So in the house, she may have the leash on her to begin to set those boundaries with her, and then we can slowly fade away from having the leash and the prong on in the house once she understands the rules and boundaries. So now that we've gone over her training equipment, let's dive into her commands. We've already kind of gone over the heel. Heel is that nice loose leash walk next to us. So whenever we take her out on walks now, about 80 to 90% of the walk should be in that heel position. The other 10 to 20%, we can give her the release word free. Free means she's not in any set command and that's her time to do her business. But while she's in the free, she still can't make any of those unwanted behaviors that we don't want to see, such as jumping up on us. So we can still follow through with the training equipment to decrease those behaviors, even though she is in the free. Now we have sit. Sit's really good for those door manners, so she can't just bolt through the doors anymore. With sit, the stay is implied, so if we ask her to sit, she has to stay until we give her that release word free. So whenever we approach a door, whether it's inside or outside, we're going to have Annie sit. As we're opening the door, we can remind Annie to sit because opening the door is a big distraction. If she stays, great. And then we have two options. We can free her through the door by herself, or we can heel through the door with her. Depends on the situation that we are in. So if Annie stays through that whole thing, great. If not, we're going to follow through with our training equipment until she gets it right so that we can set the same boundaries at home that we have here at the facility for her. And so she sits on the first time that we ask and not the seventh time. And now we have down. Down also has the stay as is implied. So if we put her in a down, she's not allowed to get up until we give her that release word free. Whenever we're practicing the down, if we do a distraction and we're 10 feet away from her, we don't want to call her to us, so we don't reward her for coming to us. We want to go back to wherever she is at in the down and release her from there. So that way she never thinks that it's okay to get up whenever we walk away from her, so we can get that down stay so that she knows that staying in the down is what she's going to get rewarded for. And then with the down, we try to reward low to the ground so she knows that the lower to the ground is the positive zone. Now we have place. Place is that boundary stay that we're going to use whenever we have company coming over. So that way Annie can experience all of the company coming in, but she's not jumping on them and giving us those unwanted behaviors. Rather, she is sitting on a place bed, which is just a boundary stay, so that she doesn't have the option to make that decision of jumping up on the people. So whenever we're working on place, it's the same concept as down. We're not going to release her from a distance because then she's going to get rewarded for coming to us, and we don't want that. So say we have people come over and she's nice and calm, we can go over and release her from where she is at. So that way she understands that that calm behavior is what we are looking for. And then with this, I would suggest having the leash on her the first couple times that you have company coming over, the first time that you work on it in the house. So that way, if she does get off the bed, we do have a way to guide her back to the bed if we need to. And then when we're rewarding this, we want to reward on the place bed so she knows the positive zone is the bed and not us. So it's coming from the bed, so she knows that staying on the bed is what we are asking of her. And then we have recall. This is her come when called command. So whenever we're practicing this, I would say have a 30 to 50 foot leash on her so that way if she gets extra distracted with whatever's going on outside, we have a way to reel her back in like a fish if we need to. So whenever we're practicing this, we give her that release word free, let her get distracted because when we need her to come back to us, it's probably whenever she's going to be distracted, not in a sit stay waiting for us to call her to us. So give her that free term, let her get distracted, and then we can call her to us. So we're going to say come in a loud, firm tone. As she's running to us, we're going to praise her. We're going to say, good girl, yeah, and let her know that coming to us is what we are asking. We can even back up a little bit to invite her into our space. When she gets into our space, we're going to have her sit, and then we can give her the reward. So say whenever we're working on this, she gets extra distracted out there and she's not coming when we call, we're going to say no, call her again, pop of the leash, and we can use the remote collar if we need to. And then we're still going to praise her and reward her when she gets to us because this command we're going to reward every single time because when we need her to come back to us, she wants to know that it's always going to be a positive coming into our space. Now we have leave it. Leave it just means don't grab that. So whenever we practice this, I suggest having the leash on her just in case we need to guide her into a different scenario. So we're going to start out with dog safe foods, drop it on the floor, say leave it. If she does, great. If not, follow through with the training equipment or guide her into a different scenario so we can try again until she gets it right. So we can decrease her wanting to grab things off the floor if we don't want her to. So that is all of Annie's commands. So we're going to reinforce and reward the behaviors that we want to keep seeing, whether that's calm behavior or just following our commands. And with those behaviors that we don't want to see, whether that's nipping, jumping, or not following our commands, we're going to follow through with our training equipment because we want to decrease those unwanted behaviors that we don't want to see from Annie. So that is all of her equipment and her commands. So we're going to have fun, stay consistent, and then this is going to be Annie doing her commands.
Down. Good girl. Down. Good. Down, Annie. Good. Down.
We all cup our head back.
Good. Down. Good. Down, Annie. Good. Down. Good. Down. Free. Good job. Girl.
Let's dive into the other features of the remote. We already know how to turn it on. Now let's go over how to turn it off. On and off switch is the same as turning it on. So with the collar, it's going to be those two red dots. Touch them together. That red light means it's off. On and off button on the back of the remote. We're going to push and hold until that screen goes blank. And I'm going to turn it back on, and we're going to go through the other buttons on the remote. So we've already gone over that black S button. That's going to be the level on the screen that you see. This red S button, this is going to jump her level from 10 to 20. So whatever level we have on this screen, it's going to jump it 20 levels. And this is a boost feature so that if Annie is doing anything super distracting or anything super dangerous that's going to cause her harm, we have a way to communicate with her, so that way we can still communicate with her when her adrenaline is up. Because say if she's just sitting there or you're just sitting there and a mosquito bites you, you're going to feel it. But whenever you're out running around and a mosquito bites you, you're probably not going to feel it because you are off doing something else. So just like with level 10, she can feel that whenever she isn't doing anything and not much is happening. But if something crazy is happening and she is very distracted, level 30, which is what it's going to jump it to right now, is going to be able to communicate with her whenever her adrenaline is up, because level 10 only reaches about here. Whenever she's off chasing a car or a bunny or doing something dangerous, she is up here. So we have a way to match her just in case we need to if she's doing something dangerous. So that is for emergency cases only. Then we have this T button on the other side. This is a vibrate feature. We like to use this to make sure that the collar is on and working, so whenever we put it on Annie, we know it's ready to go. But when she gets further into her training and she understands the boundaries and she just needs a little bit of a reminder, we can use this a couple years down the line to just be like, hey, whatever you're doing, I don't want to see it, but she doesn't quite need the stem. It's just like a little reminder. On the back of the remote, there is an M/C button. This is for momentary or continuous. At the beginning of Annie's training, we started out at continuous at a very low level to introduce the collar in a positive way. And then later in her training, we switch it over to momentary at a little bit of a higher level. So no matter how long we hold this button, it's only going to stem her for a second. But with continuous, it would do it for 8 seconds at a very low level. Then we have this on and off button on the back. Also works as a flashlight feature. So if we press it once, it's going to flash once. It's going to flash periodically. If we press it twice, it's going to be a solid flashlight. Plus with that third time, it's going to turn off. So this is a good feature to use if you'd let her out at night, so that way you can still see Annie and wherever she is. Now, say level 10 isn't working, say she's having too much of a reaction, or you notice that she's not responding to it at all, we can change this level by pushing down on the dial until that 1D at the top of the screen starts flashing, and then we can rotate this to whatever number we think is going to work for Annie. I would move it up a couple at a time, so that way we don't accidentally stem her a little bit more than what she is ready for. So she's working good on level 10. So how we lock that into place, we bring it back to 10 and then push the dial until that 1D stops flashing. This is so if we put it in our pocket, we can't accidentally change the level while it's in our pocket. Both the remote and collar are rechargeable. Charging port on the remote is right there. Then the charging port on the collar is right underneath the prongs. Then say you notice the prongs aren't making good contact with Annie. I do know that she has a little bit of thicker hair. So say that these prongs right here aren't making good contact. There are longer prongs in the box. If you need to switch it over, it comes with the tool to take it out. And then these are the longer prongs to put on. If you just notice that her hair is getting in the way of those prongs, it comes with a dual charger right here. So you can charge both the remote and the collar at the same time. Then at the bottom of the box, there is a manual. So if you have any more questions about it, hopefully this can answer them. And then it does come with another collar. This one, you just have to loop it through every single time and put it on the right pin. We put a bungee collar on it, so that way we can snap it back on every time we want to use it, rather than having to loop it through every single time. Then if you have any problems with the collar, there is a 2-year warranty, and you can contact the company if you're having any issues, and hopefully they can get in contact with you and get you a replacement if you need it. Both the collar and the remote are waterproof, so if it gets wet, not a big deal, but if Annie's going to stay wet for a long period of time, I would either take the collar off or rotate it, so that way it's not irritating one part of her neck whenever it's wet and it's kind of rubbing. Other than that, that is all the other features of the remote. So if you have any more questions, you can contact the company, or if you're having any problems. But that is all of the features of the remote that you need to know. So we're going to have fun and we're going to stay consistent.